9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good evening, guys. Welcome to a video in my shop at night. A lot of times nighttime is the only time that I get to work in my shop, and I'm going to bring you guys into kind of the middle of a build that I've got going on here. It is a car that was turbocharged prior to me getting my hands on it, and the owner has asked me to go through it, fix some things that may be wrong with it, see if there's anything that needs to be fixed on it, and then get it back to him. So we've got a whole pile of things going into the car, and I'm going to get you guys brought into the car to see what I've got going on real quick. Hold on. Had to shut the big fan off, so deal with the mosquitoes if we've got any. But here's where we're at with the car right now. Pop the valve covers off. Clearly this was a built motor from before. Custom hot pipes were done by someone. It's got a custom oil pan where they ran the pop pipes. They've actually modified the oil pan to have less of the pan on this side, and they actually kicked it out over to that side. So pretty trick pan that they've got on this guy. I've already removed the turbo. I'll show you guys in a minute. It has some shaft play. But today I've basically been going through fixing some damaged wiring. The prior people working on this had just cut terminals instead of actually doing repair to the terminals. So we've terminated the ground strap there. The battery, of course, is in the trunk. So we've got the turbo kind of sitting right here. So the battery's gone. And what I've got on order, we're going to put some battery terminals here, tie in the battery cable from the back here, maybe do a cutoff here as well. Haven't decided yet, but we're also relocating a lot of the spaghetti that was located down here. There were multiple relays mounted on a plate. A lot of this is for the headlights that are in the car, but we also have another relay, this guy right here. It's tied into one of the circuits on the car that runs a scavenge pump. So the oil from the turbo would drain down to the scavenge pump, and then it would pump it back up and return it into the top of the valve cover. So we're going to talk to the owner. We're going to talk to the owner, see if he'd like to do something different with that or keep it the way it was. The parts going into it are some really nice powder-coated units from Exile Auto Works. If you need something to really make your car pop and stand out, we've got powder-coated brakes, intake manifold, catch can. These are the old valve covers. We're doing a new, really nice powder-coated valve cover set. The other one's under there. We also are replacing some damaged lower cross members. This was a modified cross member to go around the hot pipes that were on the car, and previous owner had a little incident with a curb. So these are off, and we are replacing all of that with some King 6 components. This is the rear subframe that has the third mount on the back of the transmission. Stay. And then we've got a front mount here. Here's the little scavenge pump right there. Here's our turbo. A 63 trim on the exhaust side. I haven't seen the trim on the cold side. It is a precision turbo, but we've got some play, and it's pretty substantial. This will be one of those things where owner's going to need to decide what he'd like to do here. Either get this guy rebuilt, or maybe replace it with something else. So it's basically going to be some wire cleanup. The hot pipes here were pretty hot, and it melted some of the wires that were in this area where the hot side of the turbo is. Even though we had a heater, a blanket going over the hot side of the turbo, there was still enough radiant heat to melt some of the wires. So we're going to wrap all of this loom right here with some high temp resistant, like spark plug boots, so to speak. The knock sensor was disconnected. So I've got a replacement plug here, tied it back into the original harness and down to the sensor. We also went through and wrapped up some of these guys. It was just loose and plastic, had heat cycled enough to where it just turned brittle and cracked off. But nothing crazy, just a lot of housekeeping. But the car itself is in really good shape. And even though being a turbo, you know, you make some concessions on your car. Like, I mean, if you have a low mileage automatic GT, then it's going to be one of the more dependable ones out there because you haven't done anything to it. But a properly modified GT running a acceptable amount of boost can be a daily driver and can be an absolutely hilarious daily driver. But that's what we got going on. Alright, I had to turn the fan on because I was getting eaten alive. But take a look at that oil pan. So you see what was done. Hot pipe, once mounted to the turbo, sits about right there. And in order to clearance, the back primary tied into the front primary, boom, hot side up to the turbo. And then this is coming down. Here we are. In order to clearance that, they notched the oil pan, added it over here. How cool is that? So they did not impact the capacity of the pump, and in my opinion, probably, or the capacity of the oil pan. In my opinion, they probably increased it by, what do you guys think, a quart? I mean, look at the size of that. All of that. Move my light around here. Look at that thing. That is amazing. So we do have an existing bung to drain back into the pan. What I will most likely recommend is, because of our proximity to all the hot pipes, what I can do is build a shield, come off of these guys right here, mount one of these. The neat thing about the Pro block, KO block, is you got multiple mounting points. So I can make a little bracket here, come down, a little bit of a heat shield type deal, and then run our drain up around the back side, and then over to the bottom of the turbo over here, running back behind there. That's how my supercharger supply line has been run for about 20 years on the back side of this guy right here, and I've never lost it. So that is what we'll recommend. Talking about concessions, oh, check it out here. That's more damage from the curb strike. This was where the cross member goes from the front here back, and the impact dented the pipe. No big deal. Going back to concessions, so we've got a little bit of rust in the lower core support here, where they've made an accommodation for the cold pipe coming out of the front mount, comes across this way, makes a turn, and then heads up. So think what we'll try to do is clean this up, maybe do some undercoating on it, keep it from rusting. New suspension. We're going to be replacing those brakes, of course. Did notice that these guys are actually installed not the right way. So we're going to drop these down and rotate them so we can adjust the strut in relation to the car this way instead of back and forth, because this is more important than that. Camber caster. That'll be an adjustment that we make. More of the damage from the curb strike hasn't gone through, but it was a pretty savage hit. We will most likely try to heat this up right here and fold this back out. This lower sub control arm was bent and was replaced, but as you can see, there's contact right here, so we want to relieve that pressure by getting that. It's supposed to be a circle. So we'll heat all of this up and try to unfold this back out so we're not touching and pressing against that guy right there. So we've got a ways to go. There are some decisions that need to be made by the owner. There are some more parts that I've got to get bought, ordered, on the way. But this shouldn't take that long once everything's here. The owner needs his car back, and I need my space. I've got 1, 2, 3 more here that are waiting to be worked on, and I haven't mentioned any of my cars yet. So I want to get this one done and gone. You guys think I should recommend we upgrade the turbo? Let me know. Let him know. Most of you know him, Austin. He's on the boards, and he needs his car back, and it's my responsibility to make that happen. So that'll be my focus. Thanks a lot.
Outtakes in 40 seconds.
Really like worm clamps. I don't like 2 worm clamps. Really don't like 3 worm clamps. Your fuel filter.